super bright. Pull up Facebook. Refresh. And where it says it's live, so it should show up. Yep, right there in the video section. Very first one, auto-populated. It also shows up below the page transparency.
And the comments come up.
You just click on it, and then it'll pull up like this. And then the comments will come at the bottom. And then once you make sure that it's live, then you can go back to your PowerPoint slideshow, and you are all set. You know how to operate a PowerPoint.
Well, it's been a while.
Do you need the mouse? Activate the mouse.
No, I can do this, but it's just going to be the...
Hey, you can hear us talking. Okay, hey, look, you're watching.
All right.
That's never popped up before. We got 2 people watching. That's because I'm on here too. Ah. Okay.
All right.
Well, I'll leave you to it. I gotta get to my meeting. Oh, my knees. Have fun, and then when you're done, you can just close the lid on the laptop and close the door on your way out. Good luck.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Have fun with it.
Thanks. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we'd like to welcome you from the Goodwill community to our weekly Hump Day Trivia question. Today, we will be going over muscle car madness. So follow along with the slides with us. My name is Gary Gerhardt, your host, and we're happy to present Muscle Car Madness, created by Curtis Hendricks for Goodwill Columbus Industry. So, to begin our presentation, we'd just like to let you know that muscle cars started in about 1949. We were looking at the beginning of our muscle car era in about 1958, progressing to the middle, 1968, and then again finally the end of our muscle car era, about 1977. So, to give you an idea about the era that we're going to be talking about, it is going to be from 1949 to about 1977. Although if you'll go out to the car shows, you'll see that there is a resurgence of people that are enthusiasts for muscle cars. Definition of a muscle car within itself is based on an article by Aaron Turpin, and that is a factory-built sports car, sports coupe, with powerful engines in a mid-size package. If any of you had ever seen the movie that came out last year, Ford versus Ferrari, Shelby was one of the inventors of the muscle car. So you're going to be able to look back, for those familiar with the Shelby versions of the 1960s Mustangs. Just to give you an idea, you'll see them frequently at muscle car shows and old style shows themselves. So time to get started. Let's take a look here at what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a definition with some interesting comparisons to be able to make. For example, this car that you're going to be guessing is going to be one that appeared in 1949. It was the first high compression overhead valve V8. It had a 303 cubic inch engine displacement with a 2-barrel carburetor, and it had 135 horsepower. So anyone that would like to take a moment and just think about what this car might be, I had no idea when I went through and looked at the presentation within itself. This car does not appear like most muscle cars. So this muscle car is the 1949 Oldsmobile Rocket 88. This Rocket 88, again, carrying the displacement of the engine that was factory, so that the engine is a lot more powerful, so that it has the glamour type feel to it. As you'll see in the coming photos, you're going to be able to see some cars that are still defined as muscle cars that aren't necessarily muscle cars. For car number 9, this is our first real muscle car with 300 horsepower, 331 cubic inch Hemi V8 engine. It traveled at 0 to 90 miles an hour in 16.9 seconds with a top speed of 130 miles an hour. It dominated NASCAR. So, what do you think the car is? Well, today we're going to find out that this car is the 1955 Chrysler C300. You look back into old black and white films on YouTube, you'll see this vehicle. You'll see it in old movies and things of that nature also at the same time. Our next car, car number 8, born in 1964, has a 389 cubic inch 4-barrel carburetor with 325 horsepower. The option to add the 3 2-barrel carburetor to increase the horsepower to 350, and then the manufacturer puts this engine to a mid-sized frame of another car in its inventory, which was originally an optional package, because you did have vehicles that did have those options created by different companies such as Ford, Chevy, and Fiat at the time. This car number 8 is the 1964 Pontiac GTO. Still a popular car among muscle car owners. Even recently, I've had friends of mine that are still looking for these cars because they want to take them back, refurbish them, rebuild them, repaint them, and bring out the muscle cars of the era. Our next vehicle, car number 7. Let's see what you can do to get this one. This one was also born in 1964. Top engine was a 289 cubic inch V8, 271 horsepower, 4-barrel carburetor with a manual choke, solid lifters, and dual exhaust. Came standard with 3-speed manual 4-mounted transmission, and it is an American icon. It's the most successful new car debut in history. Anybody have a guess? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? 1964 and a half Ford Mustang. This was actually my first car. There was a 1964 Ford Mustang, but it was made with the same body style, and it had different tail lights. This is the way that you could tell them. Only about 500 were made of this first vehicle. Mine was also a ragtop, a convertible, and it was pretty easy to race. Of course, I was in high school at the time. But the 64 and a half Ford Mustang is a predecessor to the Mustangs that you see today. Our next vehicle, car number 6, is the first muscle car that came from an option package of another model. It has a larger displacement 340 8 cubic inch, 360 horsepower, forged aluminum pistons, a Wilder camshaft, and 11.25 to 1 compression with a 4-barrel mounted to the aluminum manifold. Most vehicles that you're going to have come off the line today are only going to be 4 or 6 to 1 compression. This has a lot of power when that combustion kicks back down. It has the ability to have a mid 15-second quarter mile with a standard 336 to 1 rear axle and mandatory 4-speed manual transmission. Optional Super Sport trim package costs an outstanding $53.80. The Beach Boys even sang after her, "She's real fine, my 409." Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you today the 1961 Chevrolet Impala SS Super Sport. You can see these cars still out today at car shows on a regular basis. They've maintained pretty good body shape and production. I'm sure that they still only got somewhere about 12 to 15 gallons to the mile. Yes, I did say gallons to the mile. They were gas hogs. Our next car going down our list, car number 5. Born in 1970 to an independent car manufacturer. 390 cubic inch V8, 340 horsepower with a 430 foot-pounds of torque, high flow dual plane intake, dogleg port heads, and larger 2¼ inch outlet exhaust manifolds. It was only 1 year that they did this. The first 300 made were in red, white, and blue. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you car number 5. The 1970 AMC Rebel, the machine. First released in red, white, and blue on the top, later the design color option after January 1st, 1970 on the bottom. Car number 4, ladies and gentlemen, born in 1966 as a response to the Ford Mustang, was a 426 cubic inch Hemi motor that was offered in street trim with 425 horsepower. Actual output was actually closer to 500, with a torque listed at 190 pounds per square foot at 4,000 RPM. Transmission was a column. It was up right there on the steering wheel, shifted to 3-speed manual with a 4-on-the-floor manual and 3-speed automatic options. Featured full rotating electrically operated retractable headlights, and it was the first muscle car to have a 5-year, 50,000-mile powertrain warranty, but it did not apply with the Hemi option to discourage racing. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, car number 4 is the 1966 Dodge Charger. Obviously, we have our fans out there that love the Dodge Charger. Welcome aboard, Anthony Hawkins. Go Steelers. Greatest football in history. Car number 3, ladies and gentlemen. See if you can guess this car, born 1968. Specifically modified 383 cubic inch V8, 335 horsepower, 4-speed manual transmission with an optional 426 Hemi for an additional, yes, ladies and gentlemen, $714. It was built with heads, manifold, camshaft, valve springs, and a crankcase windage tray from the 440 Magnum, the first high-power budget-priced muscle car due to the base model with several add-ons. $50,000 to a movie studio for the rights to the name and the likeness of the core of the car. It was the Dukes of Hazzard car. Thank you, Curtis, for letting us know that. What is this car? The 1968 Plymouth Roadrunner. anybody ever ridden in this car before, you'll see that it is power streamed so that you can get to the Pittsburgh Stadium, watch them beat the Dallas Cowboys on any day of the week, including Sunday. Our next car, ladies and gentlemen, is born in 1970. It is a 400 cubic inch V8, 345 horsepower with optional Ram Air 4, which added bigger ports, bigger heads, squirrel polished valves, and an aluminum intake manifold for 370 horsepower. These clues are breathtaking. The engine breathed through a new rear-facing shaker scoop designed to capture and cool ambient air flowing over the hood. No, these cars didn't have to wear a mask like we do today because their padded formula steering wheel directed quick 12.1-to-1 variable ratio power steering. Car driver called it a hard-muscled lightning flex commando of a car, the likes of which doesn't exist anywhere in the world, even for twice the price. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 1970 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. Trans Am is still produced today by not Pontiac, but is still produced today. And finally, our car number one, kind of like the greatest football team ever, the Steelers, formed in 1933. But this car had a styling change in 1969 with a 302 cubic inch V8 with an 850 four-barrel carburetor, 400 horsepower, made a joke of its 290 horsepower rating. Included the F41 handling suspension with raised leather tires on a 7-inch rim, quicker steering, and twin rally stripes. Front disc brakes were standard, but for the first time, four-wheel discs were offered for an additional $500. Most race car models had this upgrade. One of the hottest looking rides of the classic muscle car era. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, have you guessed it? No, it is not the front line of the Steelers. It is, in fact, the 1969 Chevy Camaro Z28. Beautiful ride that you can still see out on the freeways today. There's a bonus round for you people that are interested in cars, specific as these. What was the most expensive American muscle car sold at an auction? Think about it. No, it wasn't a Yugo. No, it wasn't an AMC, we don't believe, the Almost a Car Edition, the Ford Find on Road Daily, the Chevy, the Fiat. It was the 1962 Shelby Cobra CSX 2000, sold for $13.75 million in 2016. As we move on, we'd like to say thanks for playing, and we hope that you'll come back again and play again someday. From Goodwill Community to all of you, have a great day.